Welcome to Layer of the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, 10 of my favorite deep cuts from AC/DC. Now, what is a deep cut? I'm going to read to you the definition from the Urban Dictionary. A deep cut is a song by an artist that only true fans of said artist will enjoy/know. True gems that are found later in an album, a B-side, and rarely, if ever, played on the radio. Now, I would also add to that there's songs that the artists never played live, or if they did, they didn't play it live very often. So these are songs that I really like that are maybe off a lot of other people's radars. So let's get started. My first pick, I'm going to go in chronological order. My first pick from the Australian version of High Voltage. Now, some people may not realize that the first two AC/DC albums were released only in Australia. This was the first one. The next one was called TNT. Then what they did for the international release of High Voltage, they took songs from this record and songs from TNT and put them together for the international version of High Voltage, which has that cover. So from the Australian version of High Voltage, I picked the song Love Song. Yes, I said it, Love Song. AC/DC has a song entitled Love Song, and that should give you some idea that this song is way in left field for AC/DC. AC/DC is a band that they have their lane and they stay in that lane. They don't veer from that very often. But this is about as far left field as you're going to get for AC/DC. It's a ballad. It's a love song. It's got acoustic guitars in it. Bon is singing in love lyrics in kind of a romantic love letter style way. Kind of strange to hear Bon sing like this, but he was actually in a bunch of different groups before he joined AC/DC, and one of them was called the Valentines, which, as you can guess by the name, they were sort of a bubblegum pop group. So I guess this wasn't completely foreign to Bon. At this point in time, I guess AC/DC wasn't laser focused on their sound quite yet, and maybe they thought they would throw this out there and see if it stuck. But hey, I like it. It's different, it's melodic, it's catchy, it's just kind of fun to hear AC/DC do something so different than what we're so used to hearing them do. So my first pick, Love Song from the Australian High Voltage. Next, from the international version of High Voltage, I picked the song Little Lover. Now, I love this song. It's got a real kind of greasy groove to it, laid back groove. Bon is singing about meeting a girl at a nightclub, and it's got all these sort of innuendos, the Coca-Cola reference. It's just sort of Bon at his best. When he's playing around with words and stuff like that. And I also love the chorus in the song where all the vocals kick in, but they're all sort of just like this loose gang vocal, so it sounds like everybody's just a little bit off with each other. Little lava, and Bon hangs out the last note over everybody else, so it has sort of this sloppy, loose feel to it. And it also has an awesome Angus solo in it, this really kind of subdued, quick picking guitar solo. So it's just a really cool all around kind of, slightly different feel for AC/DC. Number 3, from the album Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, I picked the song Squealer. This has a real, starts off with that menacing bass line, and the whole song has this real sort of creepy feel to it, and Bon is singing in a real kind of whisper type voice at the beginning about a girl. Of course, Bon sings a lot about women, and this girl that he's trying to seduce, and it's just this real ominous, and it really builds, and when other builds up to this sort of a big chorus, and the background vocals are, they're even kind of menacing themselves, squealer, it has this sort of whispered, ominous feel to it. And another thing I really love about that song is that the song, it's not a super long song, and it goes right into the guitar solo. Just takes the song out, and the guitar solo is just sort of crazy, just Angus just really tearing it up, going high up on the neck, a lot of crazy bends, a lot of fast playing from Angus, just a really cool deep cut song and Angus solo. Okay, what am I on here? 4, I think. From the album Let There Be Rock, the song Overdose. You're going to see a theme with a lot of my picks that I like these ones that have a little bit more of a sinister vibe to them. And Overdose, it has that, Bon singing about, failed, lost, or a relationship where, he's obsessed with this girl. And another song with an amazing Angus guitar solo. The tone on his guitar and the way he just kicks in with all these slides is I just love it. I also love the way the song starts. It starts off with this guitar arpeggiating a chord, and you hear somebody in the background yell higher, and you hear tuning the tuning peg on his guitar to adjust the tuning, and it's just total AC/DC. It sounds like they just went into the studio, cranked up their amps, and just went for it. There's no overdubs here. There's no stopping because the guitar was a little out of tune. It's just, hey, fix it on the spot and let's just go for it, and then it kicks in with that heavy minor riff, just so cool. Okay, so next, I think is this number 6, I think? Yep, number 6. From Power Age. Now, this album has a lot of deep cuts on it. It's kind of an album that's over the years really got a lot of appreciation thrown its way because it has a lot of really great deep cuts on it. And I'm going to go even a little bit deeper. The German version of this album has a song, very cool back cover. I don't know if you can see that there, but it has a song called Cold Hearted Man, which was not on the other releases of this record. And it is just one of my favorite, Bon Scott performances. He's sort of telling a story about a guy that's, hard life, down on his luck, and he's just become cold because of, all the things that have gone wrong in his life. And Bon just delivers this amazing, passionate vocal performance. Coming out of the guitar solo, the last chorus in the song, Bon takes the melody line even higher, and it's just fantastic. So, okay, 7, number 7 for me, from the album Highway to Hell, yet another ominous sounding tune, Night Prowler. Yeah, what a cool guitar riff. Subdued in the verses, sort of explodes in the chorus. Bon again singing about a guy kind of stalking people, sneaking in through their windows and stuff. This was not too long after this, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. This song got sort of, connected to him because apparently, I guess he was an AC/DC fan, or he was wearing like an AC/DC hat or something one time when he walked into court. I think that was all sort of blown out of proportion. But the song is just great. It's Bon again, sinister sounding. The chorus of the song is just great background vocals. Mutt Lange is in by this point, so he just seemed to step it up even more with their background vocals. I sleep in the day. Another great Angus solo with these long held out slinky bends. And then the whole song builds to this big climax with Bon, there ain't nothing you can do. He holds out that last note. And then there's a little bit of silence. And the last thing that we hear from Bon Scott on record, Nanu Nanu from Mork and Mindy, which is just awesome. Night Prowler from Highway to Hell. Next, now I skipped Back in Black because, Back in Black has so many songs that were hits that were on the radio. Didn't really feel like there was anything super deep on Back in Black. So I just jumped to For Those About to Rock, which is another album kind of like Power Age that I feel like there's a lot of deep cuts to be found on this record. Probably my favorite is Evil Walks. I just love the way that kicks in. It's got sort of that evil guitar sound. Then the verse kicks in and it's kind of major key sounding, but then it drops down into the chorus and the big Mutt Lange background vocals, evil walks behind you. It's just, man, it's so epic. And the way the song goes out too, the background vocals are going and Brian Johnson's just wailing and the guitar's going. Just a fantastic Brian era Johnson deep cut song. Next, from an album that I absolutely love, and I'm doing another video on this album because if there's a deep album in the AC/DC catalog, I would say this is it, Flick of the Switch. And the song that I picked off of this record is, what did I pick off this? I picked Bedlam in Belgium. Yeah, I was also going to go maybe with Badlands. That's a really cool one too. But Bedlam in Belgium is really cool because it's sort of Brian telling a story about the band playing in Belgium and things go haywire and, they got to just rush out of there. Everything's going crazy. And the song just has a killer groove to it, killer guitar riff. And the song builds again where the last voice, Brian is just way up high, wailing his brains out. So it's just, man, a really electric song from a really electric album that doesn't get enough love. So Bedlam in Belgium from Flick of the Switch. All right, number 9 for me from the album Stiff Upper Lip. I picked the song You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. I love the riff in the beginning. It is, it's got sort of a groove to it and it's a little bit subdued, and I just like the chorus in that where you can't stop rock and roll, and the guitar is sort of descending. And this album and Ball Breaker, not my two favorite AC/DC records, but there's some really cool stuff and some gems to be found on these, and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll is one of them for me. All right, from 2 albums ago from AC/DC, number 10 for me, from the Black Ice album, I picked the song Rock and Roll Dream. I had to think about it for a second because there's a lot of songs on this record and there were a couple others that I could have picked, but I went with Rock and Roll Dream because I love the way it starts. It starts real quiet and bluesy, and Phil Rudd is just keeping time on his hi-hat. And then the chorus kicks in, bum, bum, and Phil does this big drum fill, it just sounds awesome. His drums just sound great on this song. For me, Phil Rudd is the drummer of AC/DC, and this song is a perfect example why. The chorus in it is just really cool, and it's got this cool little guitar lick in it that reminds me a little bit of Have a Drink on Me, but really it's Phil Rudd's drums just driving this song on and just grooving it in, and then dropping down a dynamic, just Phil Rudd at his best. So there you have it, 10 of my favorite AC/DC deep cut songs. Let me know below, what are some of your favorite deep cut AC/DC tracks? I could have easily have gone on and done more, especially off of albums like Power Age and For Those About to Rock and Flick of the Switch. But let me know, what are some of yours? And also don't forget to hit like and subscribe, hit the bell icon, and till we see you next time, remember to stay heavy and stay metal.